What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's really been a long time, but of course I'm back again, and I'm about to drop some good videos over here that will assist all of you in your trading. It is your boy TradingView once again, and in today's episode I'm going to talk about volume profiles. Those of you that have been following me, coming from Telegram, the Telegram community guys, and then also if you have watched my videos, especially my recent recap videos that I've uploaded on the channel, you'll notice that I'm a fan of volume profiles. In today's episode, I am going to talk about how I use profile, of course. So without wasting much time, let's go into it. Alright, so the volume profile over here on TradingView, depending on the platform you use, of course, 99% of you use TradingView, alright? So we have types of them on TradingView. When you click indicators here, you come to technicals and then you go to profile, alright? So you're gonna see types like visible range, session profile, session volume profile. So the difference between the HD and then both of them I'm gonna show you. Then you have the periodic profile as well, the fixed range, and then the anchor profile. All right, so the anchored profile and then the fixed range, you can find them. Also the visible range profile, you can find them over here. I think when you come to measurement over here, where is it? Somewhere around here. Let's see, it should be around okay, I don't know where I find it. All right, yeah, so when you go to where you pick the position tool, the long and short position tool, you're gonna see the anchored profile, the visible range, and then the anchored VWAP as well. So basically the visible range and the anchored profile is what I use most at times. Now when, for instance, you pick the visible range, or let's do the fixed range, all right, which in this case is over here. Now if I plot it, let's say from this low to this high, all right, it's going to show me the profile, of course. And then when you double click on it, you're going to see the same things. You do have there are specific areas where you can put it on. So these are key levels on the profile. Value area high, let's make this black. You have the value area low, let's make that also black. Then let's make the POC, which is the point of control, let's make it red. Yeah, I think red is not bad. We can increase the thickness. All right, so the POC is basically the point of control. That is where about majority of the volume is traded. All right, so depending on your settings, it's about where the highest peak of the volume, considering the range you plot, this visible range. All right, so you can see that if you zoom out to this profile here, all right, you have the majority of the volume, which is the peak, sitting around the 109.6 price level. And so you kind of see that price has shown you the red dotted line you set for the POC. Okay, now this profile was plotted from this low to this high over here. Now if you see the POC, that alone is a key level which you can, depending on your bias, all right, in this case you had market structure giving you a shift over here on this H4, so you can go on H1 for example, and then you can simply wait when market returns to the POC, and then you can look for a short position since structure has shifted to the downside. All right, so that's a typical way you can use it. And then also so it has the value area high, the value area high, and the value area low. So the value area high and the value area low are the levels that are plotted by for you with the profile, and the value area is simply where the most of the volume, about 68% to 70% of the volume, considering whether it's a daily range volume or the range you've selected. In this case, what I do selected from here to here, so 68% of the volume, all right, for this range is above is between the 141.5 and then the 244.5 range. All right, so that is where most of the value is. So beneath over here you see we have one that the color is a little bit lighter than this one, so this is outside the value area. All right, so when you come here, you can set your value area to 70% or 68%. The standard is 68%, but I prefer to use 70. All right, so it doesn't matter, the difference is not that much. All right, so that is it for the fixed range. So the fixed range, you can basically plot it from any range at all you want. Okay, so this video is just to give you an overview of profile, and then maybe I'll just go a little bit into how we can use it. So for example, this range to this range, you can just plot it from the high to the low. And then let's talk about some components or some of the things that you can use volume profile for. So we have high volume node area, we have low volume node area. So basically these two things. All right, now if you see clearly, you can see that this over here is a high volume. All right, it's a high volume area, and then you have a low another high volume area here. But compare the middle part here. What do you see? You see that the middle part here is very thin, and that is a low volume node area. Now this normally looks like what people call as fair value gap, all right, so or imbalances. So they are mostly what's the word to use, they are mostly overlapping with imbalances. But if when you use profile, you'll be able to pinpoint the exact area of the range you're looking at or price action you're looking at that volume really dropped off. All right, so because sometimes you are looking at an imbalance or a fair value gap, but really that area is not a low volume node, and when you plot the profile, you'll be able to see that. I don't know if I can show you an example. Let me see, from this range to this range. Okay, yeah, so a typical example is this area here. You see all over this area here. All right, let's delete this one. Anyway, let me clear everything and let me draw it again. Let's use this high, this low to this high. All right, what do you see here? You see that the market is showing you a high volume, right? A high volume all around this area here. Meanwhile, you are seeing an imbalance here. Okay, so this imbalance, when we plotted the profile from this low to this high, we are seeing that this area here, this whole area here, is a high volume area. All right, meanwhile we are seeing also an imbalance here when we look at these three candlestick patterns. Okay, so in other words, in terms of volume, this area is not really a low volume node, or it's not really a high what do you call it, a fair value area, right? Fair value gap, sorry. But instead we see a very thin area here, which is our fair value area that we can look for everything, because mostly price comes to refill those zones, and then if you can extend it, you kind of see that this is where we had a reaction off to the upside. Price even came to tap in it over here for a continuation move as well. So this is how you can plot through fair value gaps or imbalances in the market. That is why you always see profile on my chart. Okay, so now let me go over to the other types of profile we have over here on TradingView. So we have visible range, and this is anchored. All right, so with the anchor, the difference between the anchor and then the fixed range is that, let's say when we anchor the profile here, it's just gonna pick them from this range, okay, to current price action, and then put it over here for us, and then any current price that develops automatically add up to the volume profile. Now when you double click it, it has the same set things when it comes to the ticks per row or the number of rows. Now the difference between the two, because TradingView doesn't use real tick volume, they kind of use an estimation. All right, so I normally leave it at ticks per volume for all the volume profile types, not just the anchored one. All right, and then when you go to start, the same settings pretty much. You have over here, when you increase it, you see that the profile will also come up. So I normally leave it at 10. You can choose right or left for the anchored if you want. I prefer left as well. And then also in this one, you can also highlight the value area highs and the value area lows, which is the key levels on the profile. All right, so in terms of how to trade these ones, people have various strategies. Okay, so in subsequent videos, I'm going to talk about some strategies you can use typically with volume profile. I'm not going to keep this video long. So let's plot the daily range or the session profile as well. Okay, so when you put on the session profile, what you are seeing is a volume profile for each day. Okay, Now we can basically, I want to make the POC, let's say this color is not bad. Can I get a little bit deep? Yes, this is not bad. Okay, so a lot of people uses the POC as true demand and supply zone, of course, which you can also use it. All right. So with TradingView, these levels changes a bit when you switch between time frames. So what you can do is that normally the 30 minutes kind of give a little bit accurate levels when it comes to the VP areas. Okay, so you can see that it's when you zoom out, you see more days of the profile. I think if you don't have paid version, you'll not be able to use the session profile, right? So the free versions is just these two, phase range and the anchored range. So you can use the free version and then utilize these two very well, because if you are looking for previous day profile, you just have to pick the fixed range like I did. You just have to pick the fixed range and then measure previous day, and then we kind of use the levels for a reference for your current day. Simple as that if you don't have the paid version. So now you can see your levels. So you can also go into the settings and then highlight the value highs and lows. Okay, pretty much like that, as well as change some specific settings over here if you want to show specific days like pre-market only, market only, post-market, or custom days or time frames you want to use. You can use that as well. All right, and then so pre-market, for example, if you select pre-market only, it kind of give you session profiles for specific pre-market. I don't know how it works, but I've not used this before. Maybe you have to some sort of change from here to, let's say, regular. Okay, it doesn't show as well. Anyway, let's go to this settings. Now let's make it market only. Okay, so that kind of, I don't know the difference between the two, but I know pre-market is, for example, if you want to trade New York, you kind of plot from Asia to London only, and then you use that session profile as your reference for your session you are trading, as simple as that. And then the custom here, you can simply activate that one and select the time frame you want price. So you see now it's selecting, I think, only 3 o'clock. That's because my time is UTC. So you can basically make this, let's say you want to select just Asia, you can go into so instead of using Asia range boxes to select Asia range, you can use volume profile, because then volume profile is also going to plot the what do you call it, the sessions for you. So maybe you can select let's start from 11 p.m. 11. Okay, so we can do this, and then maybe we can do up to 6 o'clock UK time, and then kind of plot some Asia levels for us. So yeah, depending on the strategy you trade, you can use this for your reference if you are trading London. Okay, you see over here we plotted all the way. I think we need to do something to the time zone, so maybe we can do, all right, so when we do UTC, then we have up to Asia. Okay, so over here you can clearly see that we started London broke out of value area high. Okay, so when we broke out of value area high, depending on option market here, you can look for a buy. Over here, what did we do? London began and then also broke out of value area low, retest the POC, you can look for a short position. Over here we came, the Asia was basically out of the value, but London come close back inside, so you look for buy and then you target the next level. Simple as that. Over here we rejected the value area low several times, you look for buy to the upside. Over here, well, so this is basically London, all right? You trading London with the Asia profile. Over here, London broke out of value, we look for continuation to the upside. Over here, we broke out of value high, you look for continuation. So this is a typical way you can use these levels. Okay, over here also we broke out of value. London, you look for continuation as far as it is in line with your market direction or market structure. Okay, of course, Asia broke out of value. We came to retest at London. You can look for buy, continuation setup. We even came, swept this low, rejected the value area high for a continuation move. Here, of course, Asia broke. First 2 hour candle broke back inside value. You look for buy to the upside. over here too. So you're not gonna get it correct all the time. For example, here London, if you're a scalper, you can maybe catch a short sell targeting this low over here, depending on your risk to reward. So yeah, that's a typical example of how you can use profiles to trade. All right, so that's a sneak peek of a basic strategy. You can use it, and then of course I'm gonna leave this as well. We are not using it for now. So now the difference between the HD and then the normal VP, I think the HD kind of gives you a more accurate levels in terms of the calculation, kind of go into detail tick by tick, but regardless of whatever you do, volume profile doesn't have tick data, so regardless you not get accurate levels compared to what you get on platforms like Sierra, Atas, or Quantower, or all the other ones you know of. All right, those ones that use CME data and then Redmake and stuff. Okay, so that's basically the levels are the same, nothing to worry about. So yeah, in the next video I'm going to cover a little bit into details how you can use specific strategies with the volume profile. But of course, over here we've covered a typical example of how you can use it. In the next video we are going to go into details how we can trade with volume profile, how you can use it to confirm your key levels like your order blocks and then your breakout blocks, your supply and demand zones. I'm going to cover those ones in the next video, so see you.